Hey, what is up? Welcome back. Just gonna continue VOD reviewing my games on Ranked Sim with GP Luffy. I think the two games I'm gonna go over today are from the same like time frame as the ones I uploaded yesterday. So still around like that 200-ish rank mark. That's where I ended up. The list hasn't changed, but I'll go through the card by card real quick. Uh, Shouts to SkepasG again for his list. 4 the Nami Searchers, 4 the Fat Soros, 2 Frankie, 4 Usohachi, 4 Zorojiro, 4 Sanji Pudding, 3 Rush Luffy, 4 the Blocker Sanjis, 2 Luffy Toro, 2 Dead Man's Game, 2 Zero Cost, 4 Event Searcher, 4 Gungam Giant, 3 Bagua, and 4 Going Merry. I might, going forward, I might cut the 2 Zero Cost events and like slot in 2 more counter events just to see how it goes. I tend to just like or like my playstyle recently has just been like floating a bunch of Dawn at the end of my turn, so I'm thinking if I play it like that, I won't have as much trouble like bricking with the events in my hand. So I'll probably try and test that out in the future, but for now, these games are using this list. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. So the first game is going to be against RG Smoker. I believe this is favored for them. Opponent wins dice roll, but opts to go first for whatever reason. I believe they want to go second now because they can cheat out Mihawk at 8 Dawn for like 2, which is like pretty insane. But yeah, opponent opts to take first, which fair enough. They can play Smoker on curve. And I'm thinking my hand looks pretty good here. I have 2 searchers. I have my 4 Dawn play searcher, and then the stages I can just cycle out immediately. So this looks like a keep hand for me. Opponent starts with a Perona searcher, grabs the Mihawk, and then I stage 1, and then I event searcher. I think I should have just done the double stage play because I don't think Smoker runs any searchers that like rest themselves, so I don't need the body on board. Or but I guess like my reasoning here was that once I play the Zorojiro on 4, I probably want to guarantee I find a Sanji Pudding to play off of it. Which, if that's the case, maybe I search with the Nami to get a wider variety, but then this also helps cycle out the brick, so I think you can argue either way which one's correct, but just something to think about, I suppose. Opponent just swings 5, I take, grab another stage, swing 6, counter 1k, don't want to go down that low yet. Then off of the Zorojiro, I think here we can grab the other Zorojiro to do like our optimal line of going Sanji Pudding into Zorojiro next turn. Issue is there's so much counter we're missing out on. So probably just have to do a better job of pushing the counter forward in case we were able to cycle through our entire deck. Opponent plays Smoker on curve. Plays the Virgo. Grabs the blocker chopper and doesn't swing, which is interesting. I don't know if that was a misclick or that was intentional. I think against Smoker, like we're not as worried about the kid because their deck tends to be a bit more fragile, so we're okay with kind of pushing face here. And then just snap grab another Sanji Pudding. Yep, should again push the counter forward for the late game, but it is what it is. And then opponent drops a Hody, and we're sort of in trouble now. Yeah, this is really bad for us. Opts to swing 9. think I want to try and save as many of my units as I can here. So I dropped 2 cards for it. But I think opponent misplays here and only swings a 7. I think they should have just swung another 9, to be honest. I hope to save it. And then now you can only swing... I suppose they could swing another 7 here, or another 7 here. But wants to leave up a Dawn for some reason. Which... I'm not quite sure if like countering out this aggressively was worth it, but now like I'm kind of put in a position where I have to kill them really quick. So honestly, I'm not quite sure what the correct line was, but luckily we ripped this Rush Luffy off the top, and once I see this, I think my plan is now just like get them as low as possible, and then just try and kill them in like a turn or two. So hit them for 7. And they 2k, 1k, and we know 1 is a Mihawk. So I think here, I push another 7, but I think I could have pushed a 6 here, to be honest. Just because they countered out, I could just 2k check them there. And then I can spend my Dawn cycling out these bricks instead. But now that he takes the 7, I can push another 7. Opponent will probably counter out again. Uses the Paradise Waterfall and gives me a 1k. And then now, like I do the correct thing and I push another 6 here again. And then opponent goes down to 0. I don't think that does too much, but here, like, I'm not really in any big threat of dying, I think. Even with Hody, I don't think they get there. I think we can counter out of at least 1 swing. I don't think Kid is that big of an issue here either. Because we can probably just tap down whatever blocker they play and then just slam big into it with Rush and then probably kill them after that. He plays the Mihawk that we knew he had in hand. Gets all this Dawn back, which is pretty crazy. Clears the Sanji Pudding, which is fine. Yeah, I'm just letting them have my bodies. Honestly, maybe I counter out for that Sanji Pudding. But then I feel like if I counter out, he can just pivot to, instead of playing like the second blocker, he just jams into my other units. So I don't know, it's hard to say. But decides to leave 2 Dawn up, saying he has counter events, but luckily because we have the Rush Luffy, I think we can just kill here. So here I'm just saying give me 2 cards. Gives me the 2 and the 1, so now I don't have to swing as high, and then I 2k check him here. Just calculating whether I can use the Dead Man's Game here as well. Yep, and I tap down both the Dawn just in case opponent is playing Paradise Waterfall. Poke another 6. And I think if he 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, even if the opponent gives me a 2k here, then I can tap 7/7, which gets there every single time. Opponent blocks and gives me a 1k, which is crazy, but I guess they weren't expecting me to have the rush, but yep, I get there. And then game 2 is against the mirror. I think this is the first mirror I've covered, and I'll be honest, like I'm not super confident in the mirror, so or I was never confident in any of like in any mirrors I played. Like when I used to main Dofi, I wasn't really good at the mirror there, but yeah, and this is a pretty like complicated matchup, I think. So opponent event searches and grabs a Gungam Giant. Swing 7. We get lucky and we win dice roll, so we opt to go second, which is like really good. I think going back real quick, like our hand, like we don't have any starters, but I think double Sanji putting in a Zorojuro is like just good enough to keep, to be honest. Yeah, just play Zorojuro. And then we see one Thunder Bagua and one 2K. Probably just grab the 2K, to be honest. I don't see a lot of... I don't know if there's a lot of like time to really play 2 rushes down in the mirror. He just cycles out stage, and we get really lucky. No Sanji Pudding, he just jams 9. Here, we have the option of going Sanji Pudding into Zorojuro, which is like the optimal play. But I try to do something different, and I just established this rush to put pressure on him early. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it would have been better just to establish the 2 extra bodies instead of tapping once for 7, to be honest. But I wanted to see how, like, what it would be if we just like put on that pressure extra early. Because now that they're at 1, they have to always like consider giving or like leaving Dawn up to counter out and play defensive. So he goes 7 into leader, which is interesting. And I don't really want to give 2K 1K here. So I have to take, which I think is fine because we're ahead on board. So I'm okay slowing it down a bit. I start with the 7 here. Gives a 2K. Start with the 6. And play the Luffy Taro. Cycle out stage. That's fine. And I play 6 here. I think I misplayed a bit. I don't think there's any point in me floating this much Dawn. Like, I have so much counter, and I notice like this tends to be like quite a big like bad habit that I have, where I float Dawn in instances where I don't need to. I think instead there, if I just like swung 8 with the Rush Luffy first, if he wants to counter out, then I can poke 6 and see if he gives me another card, which is fine. If he takes, then I can jam a little bit bigger, like maybe go like, and maybe change like, not play the Luffy Taro and just jam bigger and just force a bunch of cards out of hand. But it was pretty easy counter, because like even if he Deadman's games to tap down my Dawn, like I'm not, then he has like less Dawn to work with in terms of like the numbers our opponent can swing for. So I don't think there's like really any point in playing around Deadman's game at that point. Yeah, he's just swing 6. Yeah, and then also if our opponent decides to Deadman's game, like they don't get to develop as much. Swings 8. And our opponent doesn't end up developing too much this turn either. And then another thing we should have done is we should have staged the rush just in case he decides to play Luna or something. And then I opt to take, but I think this was super greedy of me. I think I should have just Deadman's gamed out here, like if I floated this Dawn. Because now, like, there's like 2 things. Like, one, I floated all this Dawn for no reason. So I essentially just wasted 3 Dawn. Going back to the point I made earlier about like me not needing to even float this Dawn in the first place. And yeah, and then I end up not even making like the best out of it, and I go down to 0, which now like I'm under quite a bit of pressure. So I start 8 here, gives me the Deadman's game, which our opponent had it and didn't even think to use it. So that just tells me like my decision to float Dawn there was not correct. I want to search first. Just grab a 2K, that's fine. I poke a 8 here, gives me the giant. Poke a 6, and then he gives me a 2K. Play the second Sanji Pudding. Able to float 5 Dawn at this point. And then he zero costs out for this last 7K. I think this was a mistake here as well. I think, like, if I was going to swing like this, what I should have done, I needed to play board in that last instance. So I think, if I was going to poke base 6s, like maybe this 8 to start at leader is fine to get the dead man's game out. And then, like, I can play the Sanji Pudding here, leader ability, and then, poke 6 twice at leader. But then after that, I should, like, poke the 7s, at, like, this rush Luffy. Because opponent is at 4 cards in hand here, and, ends up taking here. And then, yes, like, he's forced to give up 2 cards here. But I think in this scenario, like, opponent definitely has to kill next turn unless they have Luna. And if they have Luna, I'm in quite a bit of trouble, actually. So yeah, I mean, but I can't play around everything. I think, yeah, I don't know, it's tricky, but I think, like, here, like, the best case scenario for me would be if I'm able to, like, poke 7 twice at this and then it dies because they have 4 cards in hand. If it dies or they have to giant, then, like, their numbers, like, don't become as good. And then if our opponent's gonna try and kill next turn, they have to take this life themselves anyways, otherwise they can't use the restand ability. So there's no point in giving them the extra life here. Like, this effectively does nothing. And then, like, it's entirely possible that our opponent got the 0 cost out of the last life. So there's, like, who knows what they would have to counter out with if, and he has to go 12. And I just pitched the brick. Luckily, I draw another giant. Just dead man's game to cleanly counter out of that one. Swings 8. And then I can cleanly counter out of this one, and then I have more than enough counter for the last 6. But I think, like, if I don't draw that second giant, I think I die. I mean, it was an okay gamble to take, I think, because I think out of all our searchers, I think I only played a couple, but we saw, like, on one of the searches, like, a bunch of bricks go to the bottom. See if I can find where it was. But I think we only saw Bagwas, so, like, we had, and, so we had, like, a good chance of, oh yeah, I think it's when I played this Nami. Yeah, so, like, brick, brick, brick. So we know, like, a bunch of these bricks are going to the bottom, and then I think off of the Zorojuro we only saw, like, a Bagua that was relevant, and nothing else really. Let's see. Yeah, I grabbed the 2K off of here. We got a brick, the Bagua, and then 2 1Ks. This being our first search, so it'd be like the one that's pushed up the most if we get around to cycling through our entire deck. So yeah, chances of drawing giant were like decently good there, but like again, why take that gamble when you don't have to? I honestly think like the turn I went down to 0 instead of just like playing really greedy there and not just using the dead man's game earlier just made this game so much harder. Because having 1 life, like having that 1 life buffer against like this attack just would have made lethal so much harder for him. And it would have put our opponent in the position where they have to have Luna, and even if they have Luna, it's not guaranteed that they survive. And then there's like a chance that I could like block her up or something as well, or like find other answers. So kind of hard to say. Did we get lucky? Kind of. I think it's arguable, like whether that's like a calculated risk or not. But I think, you know, like I iterated before, there's definitely like certain instances where I just die there. So unknown. And during my store regionals, I actually had like something similar happen to me where I kind of drew way better than the opponent here, but it was still really close. In the store regionals, like I think my round 5, I was already X1 at this point, so it was like kind of whatever, but I played the mirror and the opponent like Sanji Pudding diffed me. I think he had like 4 on the board while I only stuck 1, and he stuck them like very, very early in the game. And I just greeted and decided I could live another turn in reality where I should have just pushed. And I think if I pushed for game with the correct numbers, I could have won, even though I got like Sanji Pudding diffed. So I don't think the mirror necessarily comes down to who sees more, although it definitely helps. And yeah, honestly, if I just get a little bit more unlucky, then our opponent takes the game here, despite me outdrawing them. So just things for me to reflect back on, I suppose. And then yeah, I fell quite a bit on the ladder of just been getting pooped on, so probably review those games when I like maybe tomorrow or a couple days later. So yep, that's it for today. Sorry for the audio issues and rambling a bit more than usual today, but thanks for watching. See ya. Hey, I was just like watching the video back before I uploaded, and then I think I realized there's another line that I could have taken that might have been better here. You know, admittedly, I'm not the best player. I'm far from it, actually. So anytime, like, if anyone sees any better lines, I'm always open to some constructive criticism. And I'm sure there's like tons of things I've been missing on my VOD reviews, but you're just like going over it real quick. I think another line I could have explored here is like I poke an 8 here, and our opponent counter events here. I think then I can poke another 8 with the Sanji Pudding in this position. Let it play out a bit. Because what happens is I swing an 8 here, and our opponent opts to giant, and then is down to just 2. So what I could have done instead was like Dead Man's Game for 4. So tap 4, and then I tap these 2 dawns down, and then leader ability, so back down to 1 2 3. So I have 6 dawn remaining, and that means I can tap like 11 11 11 11 6 6 essentially. So and then the opponent is only allowed to have like 2k counters. So let's see, like 6 takes a card. So this is after the giant, right? So 6 takes a card, another 6 takes another card, and then 11, even if it's like 2k 2k 2k, 8 10 12. Yeah, I guess like if the opponent has only 2Ks, they live, but you know, what are the chances of that happening? I think like that gamble is like way more likely to pay off than like what I did like praying for a Gum Gum Giant there. So um, I don't like again I don't know what the optimal line was, but that I think that's another line worth exploring and one that I missed when I initially reviewed the video. So again, thanks. See ya.